Now when it comes to Mitsubishi, I always have a lot to say. And the very vast majority of that is passion driven. I can clearly fondly remember a time when Mitsubishi stood for two types of buyers, essentially. Those who wanted reliable, affordable econo boxes and performance and car enthusiasts. It was those two groups that Mitsubishi worked for, essentially. Obviously, that's changed, but it's not a crazy, out of control, unusual change because the entirety of the automotive industry has shifted in the last 2 decades, give or take. Now, all we want are SUVs. And 20 years ago, almost exactly, Mitsubishi introduced the Outlander. And this is the all-new 4th generation of Mitsubishi's flagship star quarterback vehicle. Like I said, a lot of things to say about the Outlander. My personal relationship, not that it really matters, started off really good with the Outlander. The 1st generation, I remember taking it to Toronto from Montreal to pick up car parts in it. It was a fabulous experience. The 2nd generation, which I thoroughly enjoyed, I actually managed to get Mitsubishi Canada to loan me one for a long period of time, a long-term tester, because I had the intention of buying one. That's how much I liked the styling, the performance, the packaging, everything about it just worked. Then the 3rd generation came, and then this all-new 2022 4th generation Outlander. Right now, it is keeping dealerships and SUV buyers, Mitsubishi dealerships, and SUV buyers extremely happy, because in this demand for SUV driven market, I mean the timing for the all new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander could not have been better. But because I read and write a lot on the automotive industry, well, I know and have read and whatever that Mitsubishi dealers are a little bit concerned about the near future. But this is what I mean. You know, there's a lot of passion, a lot of things going on in my mind, but I won't go there. I won't talk about that. So in this review, obviously, we will focus on the all-new 2022 Outlander. So we'll do that. I'll walk around and we'll take it for a spin. And for this review, I did one thing a little bit differently than I would have for nearly all other vehicles that I've reviewed or driven over the last, well, many, many years. So what I did for this portion of the review, the thing I did differently is that, well, I went to my happy place. It's on my t-shirt if you scroll back about 10 or 12 seconds, because I didn't want to give my opinion on the design of the all-new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander. I mean, in the past, I've been fairly harsh on, I think, what Mitsubishi calls dynamic shield, their front-end layout. So what I did, in fact, is survey all 8 of my neighbors and ask them their own personal, unbiased opinion on what they think about Mitsubishi's front end. And well, lo and behold, I need to get my eyes checked. I need to reevaluate what's good and what's bad, because of the 8, 7, that's right, 7 thought that what we're looking at right now on the screen is attractive, muscular, unique. Someone even went so far to say that it looked extra premium. Granted, with the chrome and the big LED lights and all that, it does look kind of high end. But only one neighbor said it looked like, well, maybe Mitsubishi is trying to hide something by putting that big face forward. Maybe that guy I speak to a little too often. I swear to God, it did not influence the opinion. But anyhow, just so we can complete the design tour, if you will. Everything else, though, about the 22 Outlander, this thing looks really, really good. I love that little floating roof line up there. Everything is very square, flat, and muscular. I love like the semi-power dome styled hood. It kind of floats way above the 2.5 liter engine. And by far, this is the best angle of this thing. The tail lights, the tailgate, the bumper, how everything is integrated, it looks really, really good. I mean, look, I guess that's enough. Let's just talk about price, because we've already gone on a lot. In the US, base price starts at $25,795, whereas in Canada it's $31,998. One of the main differences being that super all-wheel control, Mitsubishi's all-wheel drive, is standard in Canada, optional in the US. At the other end of the spectrum, top model SEL is $33,745 in the US. In Canada, it's the GT Premium for $42,178. So look, base model does come very well equipped. 18-inch wheels, 8-inch display, satellite radio, heated front seats, blah, blah, blah. I just want to squeeze this in right here. By far, after looking at all the specs, the trims, the specifications, and driving this thing for the last 6 days, the one model to get the best value, bang for your buck, is by far the LE. At $37,738, you do get 20-inch wheels, a heated steering wheel, adaptive cruise control, 9-inch display, navigation, power liftgate, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. It's all there. And the thing is that it looks exactly like this $42,178 GT Premium. So yeah, this is the absolute top trim. I mean, the GT has a 12.3-inch instrument panel, 10.8-inch heads-up display, Bose audio, and the Premium adds a semi-aniline two-tone leather. What else can I say about that? It's not the version to get, by far. Okay, so as we come to the back, power hatch, as I mentioned, obviously it's a third row. So what you're looking at as far as boot space is concerned behind the third row is about 330 liters of space. In other words, it's all but useless. With the seat down, on the other hand, 949 liters, though, I mean, now the second row is pushed or pulled all the way back, so it doesn't look that big, but when you do push them forward, as you can see they're not lined up right there, the 1640 portion. So there is a considerable amount of boot space, and back here it's actually quite nice. There's just one thing, these comically large headrests for the third row. Well, you can't fold. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Yeah, that's kind of a problem right there. So they have to be manually removed, and I found that you store them under here, under the cover. Can I do it elegantly in one move? There you go. I think there's the other one. I don't think that I can. Shoot. Okay, doesn't matter. I can still close the boot. Okay. It worked well. Okay, so back seat. Here you get the idea. I mean, this is gorgeous, definitely. I mean, quilting, diamond styled, two-tone, looks really nice. When the seat is actually pushed as far back as you can, because it is adjustable thanks to the handle, there's a decent amount of room for the kids. I mean, not that much more than what you would find, for example, in a RAV4. But it's very doable. You will not squeeze another human between the two. But as far as space is concerned, it's pretty good. This is a nice touch too, which I think you only get from the GT on up. All right, here's a better shot of the two-tone aniline leather. It is beautiful, and this is where the attention to detail, the premium perception that Mitsubishi wants to project, which is not unusual. All OEMs, manufacturers, want to give you a lot more than, a lot more visual content, and Mitsubishi's absolutely nailed it. Beautiful, beautiful. I like this faux carbon quilted stuff. It looks really, really nice. Let's just step in. So there's your 12, lots of action. 12.3-inch instrument cluster, which is nice. There's some ways to configure it, and there's all kinds of other things that'll show up when you're driving. There's your heads-up display, always a nice touch, I suppose. There's your 9-inch display. It actually looks bigger, but the fact is that the screen only starts right about here, so it's not the full surface, which still visually, it looks pretty damn good. I like the fact that you have the buttons and you have some actual knobs, and navigating the menu is actually fairly easy. I don't know why I picked camera. Looking through the phone is always difficult, but anyway, HVAC controls, Look, very straightforward. Everything is there. Looks great. Speaking of looking great, wireless charger down there. I actually kind of like the shifter, right? Reverse, drive, park. Very simple. Works nicely. I like this. I don't know. I forget what this would be called. Whatever kind of mesh brushed aluminum style stuff. Looks really nice, and it contrasts nicely with the piano black. Your drive modes, and so here you go. All kinds of, this is what I meant by the action, right? Lots of action. Normal is your go-to mode, and I haven't really explored any other drive modes. Visibility is generally pretty good, especially when you come down over here, as there's a nice gap there for that 90-degree left-hand turn. I mean, the fit and finish is actually quite nice. I mean, all the materials kind of line up very lovely. It's very nice. The only thing is, obviously, these screens now that jut out, kind of falling out of fashion. But even so, I do like the fact that you can wrap your hand around it and work the menu. Look, it's a really nice, fairly premium place to hang out. I think that's it. Now's the time to go for a drive. All right, so the best way to summarize the idea that's been going through my head over the last few days driving the Outlander is that Mitsubishi has improved upon everything they could possibly improve upon. I think that the guiding principle was refinement. I mean, by far this is the smoothest and nicest, most comfortable and, well sorted feeling Outlander that I've ever driven, by far. I mean, what Mitsubishi did was tune the chassis in a way to kind of give a little bit more give or comfort. But I have to admit, though, that much of it is still tuned for a little bit more of a dynamic driving experience. Because I do and can feel a lot, or a fair amount of the roads, kind of grainy inconsistencies, and they do filter through. So a little bit more damping would be nice, but admittedly, the 20-inch wheels, which are offered from the 3rd trim all the way to the 7th or 8th, and the tires with the small sidewalls probably have a fair amount to do with that as well. So 18s would be a nice touch, but then who am I? Okay, so this would normally be the point where in a review you'd see the journalist, I'm having an argument here, the journalist would point out, or the reviewer would just point out the fact that, if you open the bonnet, you'll see stickers that are not, or names that are not necessarily native to Mitsubishi. But that's not entirely important. I mean, you can check yourself if ever you're shopping for one. What's important is that here too, Mitsubishi worked on refinement and comfort. Just so you know, 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, 181 horsepower, 181 pound-feet of torque as of 3,600 RPM, made into a CVT, which then splits the power to Mitsubishi's all-wheel drive system. Now, under normal driving circumstances, as I'm on a service road just near the highway. I'm going to merge eventually, or maybe not. I haven't decided yet. It's quiet in here. There's just enough. You know what? I'm going to go. There's a sufficient amount of passing power. The way that the CVT is geared, so it gives you a pretty good throttle response when you need it to. But that kind of power, this kind of transmission, in a vehicle that weighs 3,800 pounds, and that's excluding me, well, this is what happens when you put the hammer all the way down. Nothing. And I can't imagine, I've driven with the kids and the wife on board, but I'm not pushing it. But if you do regularly drive around with your friends, or you carry a lot of gear, or should you ever decide to explore this vehicle's 2,000-pound towing capacity? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The amount of power is adequate when you're just cruising about. But look, I'm going to try passing again. I'm seriously on the floor. I mean, there's upside, downside, I don't know, to the powertrain. I mean, as I drive leisurely around town, I'm averaging just over 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers, but I will admit that 80% of my driving has been done in the city. So this is realistically speaking, the road is really bad and it's about to get worse. Realistically speaking, this is an 8.5 liter per 100 kilometer SUV, which, considering the size and the equipment and the weight, it's not that bad. That's, give it benefits to the CVT. But if you do intend on pushing it or testing it, that number is going to collapse really, really fast. So that would be something, say, Mitsubishi couldn't improve upon. But I don't know if you noticed, but even with my foot on the floor for a solid 8 or 10 seconds, it's actually pretty quiet in here. So, that's what Mitsubishi was able to improve on. So no more, engine speeds being pegged at 5,000 RPM and the sunroof just rattling itself to within an inch of its own death. So the bottom line is, the all-new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander is a grown-up, refined, and apparently damn attractive, large, compact, small, mid-size SUV. It in fact essentially only has one flaw, and that's the powertrain. I am going to guess that the soon-to-arrive all-new plug-in hybrid version, which I think is sometime in the second half of 2022, will certainly address that.